Hello everyone, thank you for being here. I am Daniel, and today I'd like to present this talk on visual music programs at the turn of digital media. To give you the gist, with the proliferation of home video in the 1980s and 1990s, record companies experimented with artistically showcasing the technological capabilities of the Laserdisc through musical pieces that came with a motion picture accompaniment. This specific product, at times labeled visual music, was not as prevalent as the medium's releases of fiction movies and televisively recorded concerts. It hasn't been discussed much either, considering the loose definitions of such a label. My question guiding this research is, after the rise of full digital media and streamed content, what became of this visual music form, so inextricably linked to its physical home video technology? To address this, I'm going to locate the Laserdisc format in the historical development of audiovisual storage and display, and situate its visual music product in relation to prior uses of the term, before analyzing its ontology with a couple of pieces so that we can trace its whereabouts. Let's rewind a few decades. In 1992, Charles G. Booty was writing about technological revolutions in music and identified that recorded music was experiencing the greatest change since audio cassettes through compact discs or CDs and their audio quality. He then added that, not as widespread, a similar challenge has been occurring in the world of video with the introduction of laserdiscs, which are based on the same technology as CDs. Laserdisc was making an impact not just in the context of video, but of audio too, as the addition of visuals to music. Booty himself noted that the format was getting its place in the market of recorded musical performances, with music lovers like those of opera and jazz being particularly attracted to it. One other commonality that he singles out in the Laserdisc and the CD is that they are both random access medium, which means that they allow users to locate a particular point of a visual or aural composition without having to scan the whole disc, using a remote control or a button in the disc player. Laserdisc had already been introduced in the 1980s, but according to Gary Crowdis in 1991, had struggled to be as consumed as VHS because of its inability to record. He suggests that its reappraisal was inspired by the popularity of CDs, and mentions Laserdisc's picture quality being 60 to 70% superior to videotapes, its digital soundtracks having a wider dynamic range, and its noise reduction and surround sound processing. These novelty features indicate reasons and opportunities to showcase its sensorial and technological reach to consumers. Crowdis concentrates on movie releases in his cineasty section of home video, but in doing so, he discusses the LumiVision label, which we'll come back to in a moment as it is relevant for the products that we're going to be looking at. Regarding visual music, Amy Mulligan had used the term to explore films where visual presentations are giving musicality with attributes such as rhythmical form, structure, and harmony, such as the works of Oscar Fischinger and Norman McLaren. Her research is informed by the evolution of films with changing trends in arts, music, technology, and society, and different insights on associations between music and visuals, like K.J. Donnelly's understanding that both visuals and music have isomorphic structures on large and small scales, patterns of build-up, tension, and release, and strong notions of what fits with what. But for Mulligan, the visual music film she sees is graphic, non-figurative, and without an overt program or narrative, specifically abstract or absolute, a quality that she traces to the concept of absolute music, free from extra musical considerations and not explicitly about anything, music for music's sake. Since there can be a visual music with concrete images from real-life references, we need a notion of the concept that addresses this, to put it in dialogue with the abstract pieces that already carry such a label. Notions of absolute music have long existed in opposition to program or programmatic music, which James Hagokoski defines as instrumental compositions that invite their listeners to attend to them with the aim of grasping their correspondences with normally pre-given external images, texts, sounds, situations, ideas, or narratives of varying degrees of specificity. This was a quote. He adds that mapping a music piece onto a governing external narrative or temporal sequence of images, as well as considering its backdrop storyline, helps listeners understand its ongoing musical processes and intended representational content. Hepakovsky considers program and absolute music a false dichotomy that ignores a range of middle ground, and thus that these are actually comparable and connected. Other insights from abstract music, abstract visual music that are useful to approach the programmatic one are Brian Evans's notion where he compares tension release dynamics to resolving visual dissonance into consonance. His thinking is grounded in Sergei Eisenstein's understanding of cinematic montage as conflict. We now have a framework of concepts to approach visual music forms from the historically and culturally specific phenomenon of the laserdisc. It is programmatic at the root, it serves a spectacular function, finds music and visuals in analogies of build-up tension release, and consonance dissonance as they develop in time, and is not mutually exclusive from abstract artistry. Now let's look at a laserdisc. It was released in 1992 by Louis Vision. At the top of the cover is the label Classical Visual Music, and as noted below, the disc contains some treatment of specific Maurice Ravel and Enrique Granados' compositions. There is a picture of the Alhambra, and the backside contains blurbs about the pieces, locations, and artists, as well as details on the division of the works into chapters that users can skip into. In this paratext, we are already given a programming of contents. There is also a triple D sign denoting digital recording, editing, and mixing and mastering, so a signal then of high quality. A D1 indicating a digital video master, and logos for Dolby Sound and digital sound. Dolby Surround and digital sound. A sonic marvel at the time. This disc is one in a series under the label Classical Visual Music. All have the layout just seen, including the back heading, which reads, and I quote, "You are invited on a journey into sound, a journey in which the visual perfectly complements the musical. You will discover a powerful link between landscapes and the rhythms articulated through those great composers who were inspired by them. Nowhere, perhaps, is this relationship more strongly realized than in the castles, museums, churches, and cathedrals of Europe, each commemorating traditions of musical patronage and worship which have shaped civilizations throughout the ages." End quote. This text reveals a context-specific consideration of what visual music is and does, but also reading these sentences in isolation, wouldn't this be contents that we could imagine seeing on DVD and Blu-ray or on YouTube and streaming? This is the question that drives my inquiry. Now the disc opens with a wide shot panning over the city of Granada, which then concentrates on caves in the distance. As this is shown, Ravel's Bolero starts playing on sound, gradually becoming more audible. Here we witness a parallel pattern of build-up in both the visual and oral senses. We are later displayed vistas of the city and positioned within its streets as quick dissolves of an extreme close-up of a dancer's dress, decontextualized at this point, spinning before the camera. In longer dissolves, in and out of seemingly deserted streets, a dancer walks the alleys in a sunny afternoon with a group of spectators behind her. The piece becomes an intercutting between the shots of the city and the dancer in the plaza. Her moves played at either real speed or slow motion. When the bolero hits its final note, the dancer drops to the ground. In another one of the chapters, Ravel's Valses Nobles Sentimental plays as we are taking through the Alhambra and the Generalife. The video is, if anything, a tour of the place, not following any particular order on the surface, apart from series of shots that cover specific parts of the area, either with a static camera or slow tilts, pans, and zooms. Similarly, Ma Mère Loy is accompanied by a trip to Gaudi's Sagrada Familia. The final moment of the piece, in which the orchestra majestically intensifies, has pictures show a wide tilt-up of the cathedral. Moving on to another production in 1991, Decca Records released a laserdisc work containing Manuel de Falla's compositions Nights in the Gardens of Spain and Master Peter's Puppet Show, with performances by Alicia de la Rocha, the Montreal Symphony Orchestra, and Charles Dutoit. It was produced by film and television company Rhombus Media and had teams from Decca, Polygram, and others. The first part of the record takes the home video spectator to the grounds that inspired the Fallas' piece, once more the Alhambra and the Generalife. There is no visual music blurb or label this time, but with the location shoot at the gardens and the musical recording by the signal performers being what is promoted as the main attraction. The program begins with an extremely close insert, with several actually, instruments as their players touch one of the main notes that are being heard. We then cut to the exterior of the Alhambra in a tilt down that becomes a dolly of a garden, over which credits appear. As the music repeating a series of phrases intensifies, the camera arrives in front of a palace no longer covered by bushes. We cut to an insert close into the water of a fountain, which mirrors the edifice, and then to a close-up of De La Rocha. After more shots of the players' hands and instruments, we cut to the ceilings and walls of the Alhambra, as if we were tourists. The piano stops playing and gives way to the orchestra, but returns in a delicately frantic fashion as we cut to a close insert of Fountain Springs. The analogical sense is there, with the visuals answering the piece's programmatic callings on the relationship of piano notes quickly pressed and water dripping returns later with different shots, but there are also shots that frame these in the distance where this relationship is not pursued. Inserts of the musicians like these are found throughout the disc, and it could be argued that the effort is a creative way of showcasing a performance. But to classify it plainly as a concert movie would negate the forefront that the location coverage has. Additionally, we rarely see the performance from a wide, long shot of the event. Instead, we are given pieces of it that have no more of a significant voice than the close shots and panoramas of the gardens at night. When considering both of these pieces, is there a story being told? There's certainly a temporal unfolding, a duration through the musical piece's evolution followed visually. But while shots indicate the passage of time by the end of the piece, in their segments they might very well be going in circles, like musical phrases, and not be representative of an event's chronology. Like absolute program and visual music, boundaries between types of cinema are not fixed. And creations like music videos, concert movies, and visual albums share a linkage with visual music and cinematic experiments, and even to traditional movies, with title sequences to songs or musical themes like the James Bond series. So, where did this visual music go? Branching off from Carol Bernales' work on music videos, Kara Harrison's observation of the visual album points in a possible direction. Taking Beyoncé's self-titled 2013 release, where every audio track has a corresponding audio-visual track, she understands visual albums as a hybrid between a film and a music video, with no noticeable overarching story, but cause and effect in personal narratives developed in individual tracks through visual motifs and allusion to extra-textual stories. Isn't this programmatic music being materialized visually? Looking into YouTube, Lassie A. Likaman and Antti Salovara identified 3 types of music videos. Traditional, which is audiovisual material authenticated by the original artists and or record label. Derivative, which are cover versions, dance performances, and parodies. And user-appropriated, which includes videos that discarded the use of motion picture and replaced it with either a still photo or a slideshow related to the artist, some using YouTube's deep linking feature, which is the possibility to create links to specific points in time in the video. This is not unlike random access and the use of music pieces in programs unforeseen by their creators. Now, I am not claiming that these new media are deliberately taking inspiration and inheriting from the 90s phenomenon, but that the manifestation of a programmatic visual music as aided by technologies has continued to surface in new productions, with the aural and pictorial progression from start to stop, to the continuity logic of images cutting together, but without a marked narrative frame happening in between. While the exact form offered by Laserdisc may have disappeared in streaming-based contexts, this impulse for a post-cinematic interplay between picture and sound is there in artists and users in their independent content production. Visual music is as current as it was back then, and is both cinema and music. And thank you for your